Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here again this week for episode number 20 of my December Doing It series. I have been doing this series every single December for the last 4 or 5 years, whatever that adds up to be. And it is an absolutely incredible opportunity for me to celebrate the wonderful leaders that I get the opportunity to work with as my clients, and also to see grow into their own particular leadership styles and to bring their authentically powerful leadership to the table. And each December is a great chance for us to celebrate them, to ask them questions, and to learn from them and what they have been doing and had success in their career. Let's get started, ladies. So, Pooja, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Pooja Agrawal, Director of Embedded Power Systems at Renesas Electronics. I have built my career in semiconductors, developing real world products that we use every day. So I'm really passionate about what I do. And early on, I realized that my strength and my passion is leading teams through complex technical challenges and turning them into real world impact. So that's me.
Yeah, one of the things I love about my clients is I really don't her complex challenges, I have no idea what she does. But but I can tell it's always very impactful, and I get really excited about just really the impacts that you're able to make. And so I'm looking forward to learning more about how you kind of came to be in today's conversation. And what about you, Catherine?
I am in our reinvention services and specializing in finance and controllership and trying to reinvent finance through getting the right people, process, and technologies in place. So I work with some of the best companies on the globe to figure out how to improve finance to make people's lives better.
I want to kick us off with answering the question about your secrets to success. What are some of those big secrets, and let us in on them?
The biggest secret I've learned is being coachable. There's a lot of people along the way who want to help you, who want you to be successful, but you have to be able to hear their feedback and absorb it. I was sitting with one of my sponsors a couple months ago. He was giving me some feedback I didn't really want to hear. And he kind of stopped himself. He's like, maybe this is too much. And I was like, well, no, it's really important to hear this feedback so I can learn from it and continue to grow in my career. And so that being coachable, I think is really critical. And it's something I look for in the people I bring onto my team is their ability to take coaching and absorb it and learn from it and move forward.
I think one of the things that we talked about as we were preparing for this call is like this idea too of not only being coachable, but what if you disagree with the feedback? I find that to be really interesting, right? Like, I definitely don't think we should take all feedback at face value. But what if there's that inkling of a moment you're like, I don't know if I completely agree with you or not. And how do you be coachable in those types of moments?
The first thing is to hear the feedback and understand where that feedback is coming from. So sometimes I'll ask things like, okay, tell me more about that. What does that look like to you? Tell me more about how this impacts. So I got some feedback about a year ago that I wasn't connecting with someone as frequently as I should. And I asked my mentor, I said, well, what does that look like? What should I be getting out of these conversations? Because I don't think I'm getting a lot out of this conversation with this person. And I feel like it's a little bit of an odd connection. And in exploring and understanding that, I understood why they thought I should be connecting with this person more often and that what value it was going to bring to my career. And so I was able to make it work in a way that I felt like it would work for my career of like, okay, I want to come and I want to have these conversations with this person, and this is how I want the agenda to look like, and this is how I want to drive the conversation. And so it made it a lot more useful. So there's some kind of kernel of truth in feedback.
Yeah.
So being able to hear it and understand why that's the perception or that what the value is in that feedback, it helps you figure out how to make it fit into your career story.
Right. I love that because it sounds like you just go into it with this attitude of being coachable, as you said. And then from there, you can stay curious and engage in conversation, listen, right? As opposed to, I mean, I think a lot of us don't want to be defensive with feedback, but maybe the attitude that we're coming at it with is that we need help or being fixed. And that neither one of those are useful. Defensiveness, needing to be fixed, nothing, right? So that's so good. Thank you. What about you, Pooja? What are some of your secrets to success?
So I'm naturally a very optimistic, curious, and can-do kind of attitude of a person. So my biggest mantra is that nothing is impossible. I believe in the power of possibilities, and there's a very interesting story on that I'm very proud of. So there was a very critical customer production issue during a long weekend, and most of the people around me thought that it was an unsolvable problem in the time frame and given the complexity. It was like a ppm level issue, parts per million, meaning few parts of a million parts were failing, right? So yeah, it's difficult to narrow down and deploy. Now, I took the initiative because there was a hunch which told me that we are missing something here. So I took the initiative to assemble a small team, ran the root cause analysis with them, and then we deployed the solution. What it ended up doing is we implemented the solution, boosted the team's morale, and saved millions for the company. So basically, this mindset of taking these big risks has allowed you to bring some big wins as well for myself
Right.
and
Right.
cities to work for.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like getting to the bottom of it, like really taking ownership of it's a big deal and you're going to figure it out, be resourceful, get the support that you need. Because we don't know, we don't know if we're going to win or lose, in this proposition, but it's mostly about being able to figure it out and taking that level of responsibility, I think.
And not giving up, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but at least explore all your options, explore all your solutions, talk to people, and again, people are your strength, right? Talk to various experts, figure out, bring them together, and see what's possible in this particular difficult situation.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a detour because Diane asked an excellent question about feedback, and so I know, Pooja, you have gotten lots of feedback as well in your career and been very open to that. And she's asking, what if the feedback is more about your job, like do this in your job, but it hasn't really, it does, you have an inkling that it might not help your career. Right? Like everybody wants you to do your job better, right? And and actually, maybe I'll open it up to either one of you if you want to address that before we move on to the next question.
Now, also I can share my thoughts, right, Stacy, and you had helped me around on that journey as well. So I would say feedback. I've started to take it very not at all personal, very holistically, right? If it's about the job, then breaking it down that okay, the intent might be that there is an improvement. So if again coming back to curiosity, I approach it as a point that, okay, the person has the intent of me improving at my job and what can I do about it? Sometimes I have learned that it is also about just defending. But then with experience, you understand that, okay, if I'm doing all these things and still I'm getting this feedback, there's a disconnect. But you have to go through this process of not dismissing it or taking it personally. That's what I do.
Yeah, and so two things. So first of all, on the nitpicky feedback, sometimes I had to take a step back and understand why did it matter? I'm like, I put together good content. Why are you being so nitpicky about this, spelling errors or grammatical errors? Like, why are you so nitpicky? Why are you being so nitpicky about this? And so being able to take a step back and understand that it was detracting from the professionalism really helped. But the other thing I had to get very clear in my head is that not like the difference between a manager, a coach, and a sponsor. Yeah, because like a manager may be like more focused on the day-to-day of the tactical, and that may not be the person that's going to help you grow your career. You've got to have mentors and sponsors who are able to give you that feedback around how you show up, how you are interacting with people, and getting those roles really clear in my head and thinking about when I'm talking to people, what role they're acting into. Because sometimes it's the same person, but it's just the different
The
conversation.
hat they have on, right?
The hat they have on
Yeah,
help
yeah.
also understand their feedback and like where kind of take their feedback and really grow from it.
Thanks, Diane, for the question. I appreciate it. All right, back to you, Pooja, with the next question, which is really more about your leadership style and how you make decisions. Like, what are some of the considerations you put in place as you're leading your team or leading yourself and your career, how you show up as a leader?
Yeah. So my goals and concentration as a leader are very clear. I try to create clarity, empower teams, and build systems that scale. Basically, I really care about making sure that people understand the why behind what they are doing and not just what, right? About and this helps in creating like confident, resilient, and accountable teams. For instance, early in a program, right, we had issue with engineering team morale going very down because there was a constant change in priorities. So I held a session to explain the context behind those decisions, how it impacts the customer, and the final long-term business goals. Right, this instantly increased the engagement from the team. So ultimately, I would say that my North Star is not just building high performing organizations, but a team that is resilient and again, transparent and accountable for what they do.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing that I know about you because, we worked together for a bit now, right? You said is this the third time I've asked you to be in this series? Is that what you said? Yeah. So we've been working together that long, right? And and I think it's everybody comes on this series in their own time, and I'm so grateful to have you. But knowing you so well, I also know that accountability is reciprocal, right? So not only letting them know the why is this important, but like, hey, I got your back, right? And, like, I'm going to be accountable for this, and this is also why it's important is because we as a collective have a greater need and the organization needs us to accomplish this, and I'm going to do that alongside you.
Exactly. And I think that all works both ways, right? When I showcase that, that's what I expect from my leaders and that's what I expect from my teams. It's three-way.
And what about you, Catheryne? What fuels your leadership and decision making?
I try to be pragmatically positive, and be very realistic about where we're at, what's happening, because deadlines get missed. But I think if you come at it with a positive attitude, and a like where I'm confident that we'll figure this out. It also builds a culture where people are honest about when they do hit a roadblock because they know that they're not going to be punished for it. They know that they're not going to be like, I'm not going to, chew them out on a phone call, but like, hey, like we all need to come together and we all need to stack hands for fixing this. We may need to adjust the workload. We need to adjust the deadline. Hey, you hit a roadblock. Like, let's talk about it before it's a big issue and let's resolve it. Like I tell my team, I'm like, bad news is like wine. It's not going to get better with age. So let's be transparent about what's happening. But I have confidence that we have the right people, that we have the right resources, and we're going to figure it out. And if we need more resources or people, we're going to pull those people in and it's going to be fine. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And you're very relatable, Kat. You have your euphemisms, you're pragmatically positive, and yeah, it makes it's like we can be leaders with boundaries and also be very welcoming and open, right? And so I think that's kind of what you're showing us.
Like on my handover, on my, stand up call, we celebrate our successes for the week. It's tell me something good Friday. And before we start into the text, we say, hey, tell me something good that happened this week. And then we talk about why that went well. Digest like the why it went well is too. And that also kind of helps build that culture. But I love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I remember a very, very long time ago, probably 8+ years when I was doing my coaching certification, there was this suggestion to start with something positive, right? So start your coaching conversations with your wins. It is completely evolved in that I still ask every client, share your wins, but it's because we can dissect the why. Why was that a win? Why were you successful at that, right? It is completely has a mind of its own in our coaching conversations, but it started out with that simple tell me something good Friday, right? Like this just a practice, and then you can watch it evolve. And again, like I said, it makes you a leader that I want to work with, right? And get behind. This one is a question, and I'm actually going to kick off the answer a little bit, and then if either one of you want to add to it, I think it's helpful. But what advice do you have for someone who's going into a different role, like sales versus operations, which I'm essentially going to call that like a different subject matter expertise, right? So, you can obviously tell from this conversation that Pooja and Kat are both very good at their jobs. Like they've been doing what they're doing for a while, and then now they can lead within that function. But let's say you're a new leader in that particular subject matter expertise. And I just want to kick it off with a quote that I share a lot of times and a little bit of a perspective about how I see transitioning fields as a coach. And then, of course, I'll listen to, whatever feedback you have for this person as well. So I say as a mantra, the best thing you can do for your career is actually transition into an industry you know nothing about. And the reason for that is, especially in those higher level executive positions, like say VP level or above, the more you can be humble and rely on your team as the subject matter experts, the better off you can lead and actually help provide them a framework for how to move forward, right? Your team becomes more coachable. You become more coachable, right? We listen better because we don't have all of the answers. But the thing that it has to be rooted in is your confidence as a leader. And so, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And we're talking to Pooja and Kat, and they're so well articulated on their leadership style. They're sharing with us. I guarantee. I mean, I've known each of them for 3 years. They did not sound like this 3 years ago, right? So when I say which came first, it's like they became better leaders because they tried to articulate this, who they stand for as a leader, not just a leader in finance, a leader in tech, or whatever that field might be, what matters to them as a leader. So my first advice is to practice your own leadership style, right? Who you are as a leader, because that will transcend your subject matter expertise as you continue to grow. But I know it's complicated. It's complicated to switch industries, especially if you're interviewing and you have to convince that recruiter that you can take on this responsibility. So I'd love to hear from either one of you or both on what advice you have in switching industries.
Yeah, so I actually did this 8 months ago where I was asked to take on something that was outside of my comfort zone, outside of my expertise, to lead something lead something for one of our clients. And it was really uncomfortable. And I had to lean into that uncomfortableness to say, okay, I'm going to have to ask really good questions. So I asked a lot of questions about how does this work? Who are these players? How does this technology, how do these evolve together? And then finding a couple of people, and I was very honest with my team around, I am very good at these things. I don't know a lot about these things, but I'm going to support you towards getting to the right answer and getting this system live. And I still ask a lot of questions of my team. I'm like, okay, how does this work? What does you see? How do you see this? And then listening to them too, to be like, okay, and understanding that what I could do was go clear roadblocks for them. Like I couldn't do the technical aspects, but I could go clear roadblocks for them between other teams or dependencies and kind of have those kind of conversations and show how to lead and organize and manage work and manage our workload so that they felt like they had the right tools to do it without having to become a technical expert at it.
I think that if you're listening and you're actually on the job search and trying to talk to recruiters, even just the way Catheryne explained, that is an opportunity for you to ask yourself, what are the leadership qualities that transcend and that you would do automatically no matter what kind of team you were leading? And anything to add, Pooja?
Yeah, so I totally echo your thoughts, Stacy and Catheryne. I totally also believe that being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So that's a key. And also, I've also constantly changed fields, technologies, right? And I actually think it helps when you are in the leadership role and not a subject matter expert, because then you can rely on your experts. And then you're very humble and clear about what they bring to the table and what you. And specifically to the question, right? How do you convince the future company for this change of role? What I have been doing in the past is map what I bring to the table from my current experience, right? So I put myself in their shoes. I think, why would they hire me, right? And if I can convince myself, I can convince them. So that's a very simple technique, mapping, understanding what the industry is about, and then mapping that to the current situation.
All right, going back to Kat, I wanna close out our conversation today with my personal favorite question, which is why do you feel motivated to have a seat at the table? And we've already talked a little bit about the why, right? And so knowing the why, our team knowing the why we're doing this work, I think it's really important as women leaders that we remember the why and why we want that seat at the table. And so being able to not only share it with you all as inspiration, I encourage you, if you're listening, and maybe also in the chat to share why you feel motivated to have a seat at the table. It's important to kind of check in with yourself every now and then and to say why it matters. Why does it matter that I'm being included? It's not just selfish reasons. It's actually there's something greater that we can do and provide at our organization. So, Kat, I'll have you kick us off.
Number one, I've had a lot of people that have invested time in me and taken, even when it wasn't part of their job to do it, they've seen it as part of their job and contribution. And so I feel an obligation to those folks to continue to invest in those around me. And I'm a big believer that whatever you invest in your community, you get back tenfold. Because whatever you're pouring in, you get back in watching people grow, which is very gratifying to watch people grow and succeed. I had a guy that worked for me as a senior accountant, and then watching him grow into now a CFO has been very fulfilling. And I'm
Yeah.
very proud of and watching his journey and the choices he had to make, and then we were peers, and I was asking his advice, and now he's a CFO, and it's just really incredible to watch that growth. It's very fulfilling, but it also is, I think that's how we grow as kind of as a community, is by investing in each other and being kind of caring about each other, and which you pour in, you're gonna get back out tenfold.
That's so good. And selfishly, this is the other reason why I love doing this series is because I get to see you all and get to celebrate the leaders. Like when I first start coaching someone, I see them as the CFO, right? I don't see them as a senior accountant. They're all CFOs, right? And to be able to see you grow into that and step into that and then now share it. And also to know that this is only the beginning. Like I can interview each of you 3 years from now, and there's going to be so much more expansion and growth. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And what about you, Pooja? Why do you feel motivated to have that seat at the table?
So I have a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is why not? Right? That's like why not? Right? That's how I start. And I'm really motivated, and I feel that for the seat at the table, because I feel that when we have diverse people, diverse backgrounds from different functions, from different countries, different backgrounds, it actually helps shapes the decisions and shapes the future and create products that are really inclusive. So I love that. And also equally important for me to actually demonstrate to the next generation of women of what's possible and what they can. They can also have a seat at the table, and they can also drive impact. So coming back to the whole theme of possibilities and impact, that's really my essence of being, driving the initiative of being at the table.
Yeah, and you have a teenager at home, don't you?
She actually tells it often that mom, she tells her friends that my mom is a boss. She has the team of this, right? So, I love it. I think it's very important for the young girls to see what's possible. And
Absolutely. Ah, you guys, you're so impactful. I'm so grateful for your leadership. Thank you for being here today. Let's do it again next week. I have 2 more guests next week. Please share this series with your friends as well so that we can continue to expand and show other people what's possible when we claim our seat at the table and really start to be able to articulate our leadership style in different ways that we're making decisions to continue growing our careers. So thank you both so much. I hope you have a wonderful December, and I'll see you again soon.